The bullet that changed everything. The rain hit the pavement like tiny needles, fast and cold. It was a gray afternoon in downtown Los Angeles. People hurried under umbrellas. Taxis splashed through puddles, and the city moved as if nothing special was happening. But inside a small coffee shop near Wilshire Boulevard, something unthinkable was about to unfold. Something that would change 2 lives forever. Elena Cruz had just finished a double shift at Memorial General Hospital. She was 27, a young nurse, with tired eyes and a heart too big for her own good. Her scrub still smelled faintly of antiseptic and hand soap, and her shoes were soaked from helping a homeless man find shelter under the hospital awning before she left. Her hair was pulled into a loose bun and her back ached from standing for 12 hours straight. She didn't complain, though. Helping people, that's what she did, even when it hurt. She stepped into the small coffee shop to grab something, warm. Just 5 minutes. Just enough time to drink a hot chocolate and maybe text her younger brother who had been quiet lately. She didn't notice the man in the black cap sitting in the far booth. He looked like anyone else. Hood up, face down, sipping from a paper cup. Just another tired traveler trying to stay unnoticed. Keanu Reeves hadn't planned to be there either. He had taken a long detour after filming ended early, hoping to enjoy a quiet moment in the city he loved. He wore no makeup, no entourage, and no sign of fame. Just a man in his 50s who needed space. He was reading a paperback novel, flipping pages slowly, trying to remember what peace felt like. Outside, a young man in a torn jacket paced the sidewalk. His hands shook, his eyes darted, and under his coat, something heavy weighed on his conscience. His name was Derek. 22 years old, a former delivery driver who had lost his job, his home, and his hope in less than 6 months. He didn't want to hurt anyone. He just wanted someone to listen. Elena had just found a seat by the window when she noticed Derek burst through the door. His eyes were wild, his breathing was sharp, and in his hand was a small gun pointed at the ceiling. "Everybody down," he shouted. "Nobody move!" The coffee shop froze. Cups shattered. Someone screamed. A barista ducked behind the counter. Keanu didn't move. He simply looked up, quietly closing his book. Elena's heart pounded. Her nurse instincts kicked in, immediately. She scanned the room. The man was scared, sweating, shaking. This wasn't a robbery. This was a breakdown. Derek's hands trembled as he pointed the gun around. "I don't want to hurt anyone," he said, voice cracking. "But they took everything from me. I'm tired. I'm so tired," someone whispered. "Call the police." Someone else reached for their phone. Elena stood slowly. "Hey," she said gently. "What's your name?" He looked at her, confused. "What?" "Your name," she said softly. "Mine's Elena." "Derek," he replied, his voice breaking. "Derek?" She nodded. "You don't have to do this. Let's sit. You can tell me what happened. I promise I'll listen." "Don't lie to me," he shouted, his eyes wild again. "You people say that and then call the cops." Keanu stood too, very slowly, carefully, his voice calm and quiet. "She's not lying, and neither am I. You have people here who care right now. You're not invisible." Derek's hands twitched. The gun jerked sideways. Elena saw it all happening in slow motion. Someone screamed again. And then, bang. One shot echoed across the cafe. Elena fell forward. The bullet meant for someone else had struck her. She collapsed to the floor, clutching her side, blood pooling beneath her scrubs. Gasps filled the room. Derek froze, horrified. He dropped the gun and backed away, muttering, "No, no, no, no." Keanu ran to Elena, dropping to his knees. "Stay with me," he whispered. She winced in pain, but smiled faintly. "He didn't mean to." Keanu applied pressure to the wound, yelling for someone to bring towels, anything clean. "You're going to be okay. I've got you." Sirens howled in the distance. Derek stood paralyzed until the police burst in and tackled him to the ground. Paramedics rushed to Elena. They lifted her onto a stretcher as her eyes fluttered. Keanu never left her side. He held her hand tightly as they wheeled her out. "Who is that?" one officer whispered, looking at Keanu. "That's Keanu Reeves," someone else said in disbelief. The coffee shop would never be the same. Neither would Keanu, and neither would Elena. The next days would reveal everything: why she did what she did, how it changed Keanu forever, and what happened when two strangers met in a moment of chaos and changed each other's lives. But for now, the city kept moving. The rain kept falling, and one brave nurse lay in a hospital bed, unaware the man she had saved was already working quietly behind the scenes to change her future forever. Whispers in the hospital hallway. The hospital was quiet that night. Too quiet. Outside the emergency room, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. The sky was black and heavy, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement like ghosts moving beneath the surface. Inside room 417, machines beeped gently. Soft blue lights glowed, and Elena Cruz lay still, wrapped in white blankets, her side bandaged and painful, her mind drifting in and out of sleep. Her lips were dry. Her hands felt cold. She didn't remember much after the shot. Just pain, sirens, a strange voice, strong hands holding hers, and eyes. Kind eyes. But maybe she had imagined that. The nurses had done all they could. The bullet had missed her vital organs by inches. Any closer, and she might have died on that cafe floor. But she didn't. Because she had moved, without thinking, without fear, to protect strangers. And one of those strangers was Keanu Reeves. But Elena still didn't know. In the hallway, Keanu stood quietly by the door. He wore a plain hoodie, jeans, and a worn cap pulled low over his face. He wasn't used to hospitals. The smells brought back memories he didn't like to revisit. His sister's cancer, his best friend's accident, the empty rooms, the waiting, the helplessness. But this time was different. This time, someone had taken a bullet to protect him. He didn't even know her name at first, not until he asked a nurse and she whispered it to him. "Elena Cruz," she had said, glancing at the chart. "Trauma nurse. One of the best. Always stays late. Always volunteers for night shifts." Keanu looked through the glass window at her pale face. He felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Gratitude. Real, aching, soul-shaking gratitude. He didn't care that she didn't know who he was. That was actually better. He didn't want thanks. He wanted to understand why. Someone like her, young, overworked, underpaid, would risk everything for someone she didn't even know. An officer walked up beside him. "Mr. Reeves," he said quietly, "you gave your statement, but we may need you for more follow-up later." Keanu nodded. "What's going to happen to the guy?" "Derek?" The officer sighed. "He's in custody. We got his background. No criminal record, just a sad case. Lost his apartment 3 months ago. Eviction. Tried finding work, but no one would hire him after COVID gaps. He finally snapped." Keanu looked down the hallway. "He's not a killer." "No." The officer agreed. "But he almost became one." Keanu's jaw clenched. Almost. After the officer left, Keanu slipped back into the waiting chair. He had been sitting there for hours now. He sent quiet messages to his team, canceled meetings, told his assistant not to alert the press. He didn't want headlines. He wanted to stay invisible, but what he didn't know was that one photo had already gone viral. Someone from the coffee shop had captured a blurry image of him cradling Elena's hand while paramedics worked on her. Within hours, social media was flooded with speculation. Was that really him? What happened? Who was the woman? Meanwhile, Elena's phone sat on a table beside her bed. The screen lit up now and then. Messages from her younger brother Daniel, asking where she was. Her best friend Maria begging her to reply, and a missed call from her landlord. Rent was due. Still asleep, she moved slightly. Her eyes fluttered open. Keanu stood. Elena blinked slowly, her voice hoarse. "You again?" He smiled softly. "Yeah, me again." "You were there," she whispered. The gun, yeah, he said, sitting down beside her. And you were the one who stepped in. Elena winced as she shifted. Is anyone hurt? Only you, Keanu said. You took the bullet. Saved everyone else. She tried to smile, but her lips trembled. He didn't seem like he wanted to hurt anyone. He didn't, Keanu said gently. He was just lost. They sat in silence for a moment. You've been here the whole time? She asked. Yeah, he said. Didn't want to leave until I knew you were okay. That's sweet, she whispered, her eyes closing again. Get some rest, he said. I'll be here. As she drifted back to sleep, Keanu stared at the ceiling. He had faced assassins in movies, played the hero countless times, but none of that mattered now. This was real. Raw. A woman had nearly died saving him, and no one in Hollywood had ever handed him a script that felt like this. The next morning, Helena woke to a nurse checking her IV. The sunlight spilled through the blinds, casting warm gold across the bed. You're trending online. The nurse smiled. Kind of a hero. What? Elena asked, confused. The nurse handed her the phone. The image was grainy but clear enough. It showed her, bleeding on the floor, and Keanu Reeves, real, unmistakable, beside her, holding her hand. What is he doing here? She whispered. The nurse smiled again. He never left. Outside the door, Keanu paced with a coffee cup in his hand. He was making plans already. Things she didn't know yet. Things no one saw coming, because Keanu didn't want to repay her with flowers or thank you cards. He wanted to change her life, and in the next few days he would do exactly that. Her life was falling apart, and then he stepped in. Elena sat up slowly in the hospital bed, wincing as pain shot through her side. She looked around the quiet room. Fresh flowers sat on a table nearby, white lilies and sunflowers. The card read only one word. Thanks. No signature. Just that one word, written in neat handwriting. She smiled weakly. Her side still burned, but it was manageable now. The doctors said she was lucky. The bullet had missed her kidney by less than an inch. A miracle, they said. She would need a few weeks of rest, no lifting, no stress. But they didn't know Elena's world didn't stop just because she was injured. Her phone buzzed again. Missed calls. New voicemails. Unread messages. She scrolled through them. Rent was late. Her landlord wasn't patient. She had been behind by 2 months already. And now, without working shifts, she wouldn't make next month either. Maria, her best friend, had sent, I'll come by after work. Daniel said he can't find your keys. Please don't stress. We'll figure it out. Elena sighed. Her younger brother Daniel was just 19, studying computer science. He had a part-time job at a grocery store. She didn't want to tell him the truth, how close they were to losing the apartment, how she had skipped meals to make sure he had books and a laptop. She had always kept things quiet, handled it herself. Until now. The door creaked open. She looked up, expecting the nurse. But it was him again. The man she had saved. Keanu Reeves walked in, holding a takeout bag and a cup holder with 2 coffees. He had a calm, humble energy, like he was just any other visitor coming to see a friend. Hey, he said softly. Brought breakfast. Hope you're not sick of hospital food yet. Elena blinked. You don't have to keep doing this. I know, he said, placing the food on the side table. But I want to. Why? She asked quietly. Because I got shot trying to help someone? Because you're the kind of person this world doesn't appreciate enough, he replied. And that has to change. They shared a quiet breakfast. Elena sipped coffee slowly, still trying to make sense of what was happening. You never said your name? She finally said. Keanu smiled. You really don't know? No, she said, frowning. Should I? Maybe not. He shrugged. I'm Keanu. She paused, then stared. Wait, Keanu? Like, that Keanu? He nodded, gently. Yeah, that Keanu. She gasped softly. Oh my God. I didn't recognize you. I thought you looked familiar, but... Wow. You've been here this whole time. Yeah, he said. Because you stayed when it mattered. She looked down. I didn't do anything special. You risked your life, he said. That's rare, and I think the world needs to know about people like you. She shook her head. Please don't make a big deal out of it. I don't want attention. I understand, he said, but I can still help, just in quiet ways. Elena didn't know what to say. Keanu leaned back. Can I ask you something? Not as a movie star, just as a guy who saw what you did. Sure. How are you, really? She hesitated. Tired, she admitted. Not just from the injury. Life's been hard. I'm working extra shifts to keep a roof over our heads. My brother's in college. My mom passed 2 years ago. My dad left when we were kids. Sometimes I feel like I'm holding the whole world together with one hand. Keanu nodded slowly. That's a heavy weight. Yeah, she whispered. But I'm scared to put it down. I don't know what happens if I do. There was a long silence between them. Keanu reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I did something this morning. I hope you're not mad. She raised an eyebrow. What? He handed her the paper. Elena opened it. Her eyes scanned the words. Her mouth fell open. It was a letter from the hospital's foundation. It said her entire rent for the next year had been anonymously covered. Also, a grant had been issued in her name for exceptional service and courage, totaling $50,000. No, she said, eyes welling with tears. Keanu, you didn't. I did, he said gently. Not because you got shot, but because you never asked for anything while giving everything. She covered her face with her hands, trying not to cry. He added, and there's more. Elena looked up slowly, tears running down her cheeks. Your brother's tuition, he said, covered, as long as he stays in school, and a job offer, part-time, doing research for a documentary my team is producing. Remote work, flexible hours. She shook her head, overwhelmed. Why are you doing this? Because someone once did something kind for me when I was broken, Keanu said, and I promised I'd pass it on. You gave without asking. Now it's your turn. She wiped her eyes. This doesn't feel real. It is, he said, and it's just the beginning. Outside the hospital window, the rain had stopped. The sky was clearing. Sunlight streamed in, warming the room. For the first time in a long time, Elena felt something she hadn't dared feel. Hope. She looked at Keanu, eyes soft and grateful. Thank you, he smiled. Don't thank me yet, we've still got work to do. Work? She asked. Yep, he grinned. You're going to help me with something big. Like what? You'll see, he said. But first heal, then we change the world. The Kindness Project. 2 weeks later, the hospital discharged Elena with careful instructions, a small scar on her side and a heart full of questions. She returned home to their tiny 2-bedroom apartment near Koreatown, where peeling paint and old carpet told quiet stories of struggle and survival. Her brother Daniel met her at the door, hugging her so tightly she winced. Sorry, he whispered, letting go quickly. I thought I was going to lose you. You didn't, Elena said, smiling weakly. But I lost track of time. I didn't even know how much was waiting. Keanu Reeves, Daniel said, eyes wide. You saved him, and he saved you back. Elena shook her head gently. He says I saved everyone, not just him. But Daniel, what he's done for us. I know, Daniel whispered. I saw the letter. I read the scholarship email. I got the job. I didn't believe it until the call came. She looked around the apartment. Everything still felt the same, but something inside her had changed. There was a new kind of lightness in the air. That night, Keanu picked her up in a quiet black SUV. No bodyguards, no attention, just him and a driver. "You up for something?" he asked as she stepped in, gently holding her side. "Depends," she said. "Does it involve more gunfire?" He laughed. "No, just kindness." They drove for about 30 minutes until they reached a small building tucked in a quiet street, surrounded by street art and the warm smell of food carts nearby. The sign above the door read, "The Kindness Project." "What is this?" she asked. Keanu smiled. "This is what I've been working on. I bought this space 5 years ago but didn't know what to do with it. After what happened with you, I figured it out." They stepped inside. The place was still unfinished. Bare walls, simple lighting, but warm. In the center was a corkboard filled with notes. "This," Keanu said, "is going to be a place where stories like yours are shared. Not just tragedies, but courage. Ordinary heroes. People who give without being seen. I want to shine a light on them." Elena stared at the board. Some of the notes were about teachers, nurses, food delivery drivers who checked on the elderly. One was about a boy who gave his only shoes to a stranger on the subway. "This is beautiful," she whispered. "It's not finished," he said, "and that's why I need you." "Me?" She blinked. "I'm just a nurse." "Exactly," he said. "A nurse who noticed a broken man holding a gun and tried to reach him with words. That's exactly the heart we need." He walked her to a small desk where a laptop sat open. "We're going to collect stories, real ones, record videos, build a team, find unsung heroes and help them, pay medical bills, fund dreams, fix homes, give people a second chance, and you'll be the voice of it all." Elena sat slowly, overwhelmed. "You really trust me with this?" "More than you know," Keanu said, "because you didn't wait for the world to ask. You acted. You saw someone in pain and stepped forward. Now we step forward together." The next few weeks moved like a dream. Elena helped design the layout, reach out to hospitals and shelters, and write the first stories for the website. Her voice, gentle, real, and full of empathy, became the thread that connected it all. Soon, donations started coming in. Not millions, not yet, but enough. Enough to build a food pantry in South Central. Enough to repair an elderly couple's roof. Enough to get warm coats for single moms living in shelters. Keanu remained behind the scenes, never taking credit. He refused interviews, turned down magazine offers, and said, "Let the story speak, not the name." One night, as Elena reviewed submissions on her laptop, she read one that made her stop cold. "My name is Derek. I was the man who brought a gun into that coffee shop. I never meant to hurt anyone. I was lost, broken, and she, Elena, saw something in me. She didn't scream. She didn't hate. She just spoke like I mattered. I want to be better. I want to start again." Attached was a video. Derek, now in a rehab center, spoke slowly, eyes full of guilt and pain. He said he had been attending therapy. He had joined a program for at-risk youth, helping them see there were other ways. He ended with, "I'll never forget what she did, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of that second chance." Elena wiped her tears. She turned to Keanu, who was nearby reading over grant applications. He wrote in. She whispered. Keanu looked up. "Derek?" She nodded, showing him the screen. He read the message. He said nothing for a long time. Then, softly, "People can change." "He's proof," she said. I think I want to meet him." Keanu didn't question her. He simply nodded. They arranged the meeting 2 weeks later at a neutral location, small community garden run by volunteers. Elena sat on a bench, nervous, a little afraid. Unsure if the pain would return, then Derek walked in. His eyes met hers. He looked older, even though it had only been a few months. More grounded. More human. He sat across from her. "I don't deserve this," he said quietly. Maybe not, she replied. But you're here. That's a start. They talked for almost an hour. Not about the bullet, not about the gun, but about life, pain, choices, hope. When she left, she didn't feel fear. She felt healing. And somewhere deep inside, she knew the Kindness Project wasn't just helping others. It was helping her too. When kindness meets the world, the Kindness Project had grown faster than anyone expected. It began as a quiet idea in a small space, a place to honor unsung heroes. But now, just months later, it was reaching corners of the world no one had imagined. Schools in Peru were sharing Elena's story in classrooms. Nurses in India were sending letters of thanks. Even a retired teacher from Norway mailed a handwritten note saying, "I finally believe my life mattered." And still, through it all, Elena kept her heart grounded. She never let the attention become about her. When reporters reached out, she politely said no. When social media users tried to turn her into a trend, she pulled back. Her message was clear. This isn't about me, it's about us. But not everyone liked that. One morning, as Elena walked into the Kindness Project office, she found a stack of angry letters taped to the door. Her heart sank. You're just another attention seeker. Why should someone who got lucky get to play hero? What about people who actually suffer every day? She stood still for a long time, reading each one. Then she walked inside, heart heavy, unsure of what to do next. Keanu found her staring at her desk, silent. They left notes again, she said softly. He looked down. You okay? I don't know, she whispered. I didn't ask for this. I saw someone hurting. I did what anyone should do. Keanu sat across from her. Not everyone would have done what you did. And sometimes people don't understand that doing good doesn't mean doing perfect. It just means trying. She looked up. I feel like I'm being punished for surviving. Keanu's face turned serious. The world has two kinds of people. Ones who break others to feel powerful, and ones who heal others even when they're hurting too. You're the second kind, Elena. Never forget that. That evening, instead of going home, Elena visited the shelter they'd helped open the month before. She sat with a mother of 3 who had just gotten her first stable job in 5 years. How do you stay strong? The mother asked. Elena smiled. I don't. Not always. But I remind myself that someone else is counting on me. And when you know someone else is watching, someone who still believes in good, you try harder. That night, she stayed up writing a blog post for the Kindness Project website. It was titled, When Kindness Hurts. In it, she shared how doing the right thing didn't always feel right, how it sometimes left scars, how not everyone would understand, and how that was okay. Within hours, it was read by thousands. Comments poured in from nurses, teachers, social workers, single moms, foster kids, war veterans, all of them saying, "Thank you for saying what we couldn't." But while the digital world buzzed with new support, something even more powerful was brewing. In real life, Derek had been attending every therapy session. He was now volunteering with at-risk teens and teaching them how to speak, how to calm down when emotions rose, how to avoid the same path he'd taken. He asked if he could speak at a community event. Just once. To share what happened from his side. Elena wasn't sure. Part of her was still healing. The pain in her side still pulsed on some days. And even though she had forgiven him, she hadn't forgotten. But Keanu, as always, didn't pressure her. You'll know when you're ready, he said. The day of the event came. It was held in a small gym near downtown. Chairs were lined up. The audience was a mix of people, families, neighbors, teenagers, even a few who had once been homeless. The projector screen behind the stage read, Voices of Change. Elena sat near the front, nerves dancing in her chest. Derek stepped up to the microphone. The room fell silent. He cleared his throat. I was the guy with the gun. Some of you have heard about me. Most of you haven't. That's okay. I didn't come here to make you feel sorry. I came here to tell the truth. He talked about the eviction, the shame of not being able to feed himself, the loneliness that had grown like mold in his chest. And then he talked about the coffee shop. I didn't go in there to hurt anyone. I just wanted anyone to see me. And Elena did. He paused, his voice cracking. When she talked to me, it wasn't like she saw a monster. It was like she saw a human. And when she took that bullet, I knew I had become the very thing I was running from. He looked at her then. Elena, I'm still learning, still trying. But your kindness didn't just save lives that day. It gave me one too. The room erupted in applause. Not for drama, not for excitement, but for truth. After the event, Elena walked outside into the cool night. The sky was clear. She stood quietly, breathing it in. Keanu joined her, hands in his pockets. How do you feel? He asked. Lighter, she said. Like I let go of something heavy. You changed his life, Keanu said. No, she replied. We did. This whole thing, the Kindness Project, it's bigger than us now. He looked at her with quiet pride. Then let's grow it. The next day, a letter arrived at their office. Handwritten, no return address. I was going to end my life last week. Then I found your website. I read about a nurse who was shot and a man who healed. And I thought, maybe I can heal too. Thank you. Elena held the letter against her chest, tears filling her eyes. This, she whispered. This is why we keep going. Keanu nodded. This is just the beginning. Full circle, a year had passed since that rainy afternoon in the coffee shop, since the gunshot, the hospital, the headlines, and the quiet beginning of something bigger than anyone could imagine. Now the Kindness Project had offices in 4 cities. Schools were teaching its stories in classrooms. Hospitals had started kindness walls where nurses and patients wrote anonymous notes of thanks. Shelters were rebuilding, veterans were reconnecting, and people who had once been silent were now speaking, sharing, healing, hoping, and in the center of it all stood Elena Cruz. She was still the same in many ways. Gentle voice, quiet smile, steady heart. But something inside her had changed. She walked stronger now. She spoke clearer. And though the scar on her side sometimes ached, it reminded her not of pain, but of purpose. She still worked part-time as a nurse, mostly night shifts. Not because she needed the money anymore, but because she needed the connection. She still believed healing began with listening. And the Kindness Project, that had become her second home. But she wasn't alone. Keanu Reeves stood beside her every step of the way, not in front, never in front. He helped lead, fund, support, and inspire, but always quietly. When reporters tried to ask why he was so involved, he'd say, I'm just following someone else's bravery. On the anniversary of the shooting, they held a quiet gathering at the same coffee shop where it all began. It had reopened after repairs, and the owner, an elderly woman named Rosa, refused to change its heart. Same old wooden tables, same crooked menu sign, same warm smell of cinnamon and coffee beans. The only new thing was a small gold plaque on the wall. It read, in honor of Elena Cruz, who stood up when the world froze. May we all find the courage to care. The event was simple, no microphones, no cameras, just people sharing stories. One by one, strangers stood up and told the room about moments when kindness changed their lives. A taxi driver who paid for a woman's groceries. A teenager who helped an old man cross a street. A nurse who held a patient's hand so he wouldn't die alone. Then, quietly, someone stood at the back. It was Derek. His hair was shorter now, his face calmer, his hand steady. He walked slowly to the front of the room, eyes scanning familiar faces. Then he turned to Elena. I used to think I was broken, he said softly. I thought no one could see past what I did. But you did. And that day didn't just change my life, it gave me one. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. This is a list, not of what I've done, but of people I've helped. 28 kids, 6 mothers, 3 veterans. I teach them now. I tell them about the day I saw a stranger who didn't run from me, and how she gave me a second chance. The room was silent. Elena stood, walked over, and hugged him. No words, just forgiveness. Later that night, as the crowd left and the cafe dimmed its lights, Elena and Keanu sat at the same booth from a year ago. This time, no blood, no fear, just 2 cups of hot chocolate, 2 hearts changed forever, and a quiet moment to reflect. "You remember when you asked me to help with this project?" Elena said. Keanu nodded. "You asked if I trusted you, and you said yes." She smiled. "That still surprises me. You taught me," he said, "that the loudest courage isn't on movie screens. It's in coffee shops, hospital hallways, and people who stand when others freeze." She looked at him, eyes full. "I think we've built something real. We have," he said, "and we're not done yet." They stood and walked outside together. The air was cool, the night sky filled with stars. The city hummed softly around them. Cars, music, footsteps. Life. Across the street, a little girl dropped her backpack. A stranger picked it up for her. Small, unnoticed, but seen. Elena smiled. "It's working," she said. "What is?" Keanu asked. "Kindness," she replied. "It's spreading." A soft breeze passed. The city kept moving. And in the hearts of thousands, maybe millions, something small, quiet, and powerful had begun to grow. Not because of one moment, but because someone decided to keep going after it. Elena never wanted fame. She never wanted money. She only wanted to matter. And now, every name, every letter, every changed life reminded her. She did. And somewhere out there, someone who had given up was trying again because she had, and that was enough.